We're in week 26 here in Stockholm. Sun is shining and I'm back amongst the tourists here in Stockholm's Gamla stan. I can't seem to get enough of this place recently. Today in Becoming Swedish we're talking about something that really confused the hell out of me when I first moved to Sweden. And that is the Swedish way of numbering the weeks. Whenever you try and set up a meeting, whenever you try to meet some friends, you often hear the number of the week rather than the specific day you're going to meet referenced. So I've come to meet with Sophie, who you've seen on this vlog before, who has a trick or two to tell us about this Swedish tradition. Her office around here somewhere hidden in the back streets of Gamla stan, so let's try and find her.
I'm Sophie and I am one of the co-authors of this book, Working in Sweden, where I help internationals to understand the Swedish workplace and what sort of written and unwritten rules that are common here.
Then you're a perfect person to speak to about this, because when I first moved to Sweden and I was in the office and people started organizing meetings and they said, what's your availability week 17? What about week 19? And I was just completely lost, because I can kind of figure out that now. We're almost in July. We're filming this today in week 26. I can understand that's in the middle of the year. That's about halfway through. But week 17 or week 42, I just constantly have to go back and to refer to my calendar.
And this is actually an international system. It's even like an ISO standard. So
Okay.
It's nothing unique to Sweden. But I think what's sort of unique to Sweden is this embracing of this system and how much we use it. I mean, I used to live abroad myself and I came back to Sweden in 2008, and this was a huge problem for me because at that time, it wasn't even a part of a calendar, so I had to enter it manually into my iCal, which was really tiring, and I would even object to people suggesting, let's meet week 8 or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. But I'm getting used to it now, and now it's automatic into my calendar, so I'm slowly becoming Swedish. Me too.
So you said it's an international standard, but why do you think it is that Swedes are so keen to adopt this style of working?
I think partly these questions is a matter of habit. Like sometimes there's no sort of good reason why we're doing things one way or another. It's more like, well, that's the way it is and that's how most people do it, and you need to sort of just adapt to the norm. But I think it also sort of reflects that Swedish we love routine. We love doing things in a similar way over and over again, and we got this almost like sort of cyclic concept of time rather than a linear concept of time. And for example, people sort of have, people have lots of activities. We don't do spontaneous things. We don't meet, like let's go out for a drink tonight, but we look in our calendar and if you're asking me a specific date, I might not know directly what week of the day it is, because on Thursdays I'm doing innebandy and on Wednesdays I have to take my kid to the swimming classes and every odd Tuesday I'm in my book club, because that's another system, we have the odd and even weeks as well, so we have this sort of bi-weekly rhythm, and especially if you are a child living with divorced parents, you often have this idea, I'm with my mom on during odd weeks, my dad during the even weeks. And this is also how you know people. You have a friend and we can't meet during even weeks because she has her kid to take care of. When we're planning our year, for example, everyone who lives in Stockholm knows, for example, we have the sports holiday and that's week 9. If you travel a bit further north, it's going to be week 10 or week 11. So directly, even if we're talking to each other in July, you want to schedule a drink with me in February, I can tell you week 9 is not possible. Even when you planning activities for the summer, if you rent a cottage, this is somehow disrupted by Airbnb right now. So it's probably a system that's disappearing, but normally you would rent a cottage from Sunday to Sunday, and then you'd have to book it according to the week. And even people who have their own summer house, you might share it with a family, and then week 26 to 28 it's mine, and then 29 to 31 it's my brother's, and then 32 we share it and do things together. So it's something that sort of recurs all the time in our life, and we can plan ahead.
Just going back to what you were saying about using it as a planning tool when you're meeting friends and how it fits with associative life, because this is something that I keep coming back to in this project. A few weeks ago I was meeting with Mattias Axelsson, talking a lot about Swedish habits, and we had long conversations about how much Swedish life is formed around these associations. So I can really understand that if you are members of associations and there are regular meetings, that you tend not to focus around specific dates, but
it's
days
Tuesdays,
of the week. Yeah.
And even like family things, you know, you have fredagsmys, that sort of Friday, eating candy night.
Which is also on my bucket list.
That's also on your bucket list. We have Lille Lördag, which is little Saturday, that's on Wednesdays. But you're allowed a little bit extra, you know, you might go out for a drink or have a little something sweet with your fika.
This is a completely new concept to me.
Lille Lördag?
Yeah.
The little Wednesday. It's a huge thing for younger generations because you're not going to go to a nightclub on a Tuesday. No. But maybe on a Wednesday, you know, it's kind of okay. Yep.
Little Saturday. Yeah. I like it. Well, I think I've got a long way to go until I can master it. I still think in the British mindset where if I talk about a week, I'll talk about the week beginning the 2nd of May. Yeah. And that's the system that makes a lot of sense.
Well, I agree with you. I mean, I can visualize May much easier than say week. What would it be? 18 maybe or something. But I think in the long run, when you have all these routines, you know, you have, say, week 14, you always meet your grandparents because we don't meet our family very often. So it's like you have these little things to hang up the weeks, and I think it'll become more and more easy to sort of visualize a year. And that's where it really serves a purpose for planning, because you can actually say, well, you know, every year that week I'm not available for that meeting or whatever, or in a work context, you know, we have a conference at work week 37 every year, you know, I can plan ahead. I can plan ahead for years.
So the Swedish style of talking about the weeks of the year was kind of one of the first things I really noticed when I entered a Swedish workplace. And you, as author and expert on Swedish working environments, what other things can I or other people watching maybe expect when they first enter this workplace?
Well, I think it's very important to know the week system, because it will appear somewhere and it will become very difficult for you if you don't sort of accept it or import it into your calendar. But one other thing that kind of surprises many people is that we often have a kitchen rota or some sort of office duties that need to take place on a regular basis. So for example, when I moved into this office that I'm sharing with some other people, one of the first things that appeared was an email where it was saying that week 8, 13, 21, etc. It's my responsibility to take care of the kitchen, to make coffee, and this also reflects that sort of idea of no hierarchies in the workplace, and that everyone, regardless if you're the cleaner or the CEO, you have the same responsibilities for taking care of the place. So this is a really important one, and I also think.
As you say, taking care of joint spaces is something that you see a lot even outside the workplace. I think about the housing association I live in, we all have different roles in keeping it clean and tidy, and my daughter's school, there's also this rota system. Week 16 I have to go and clear the leaves or the snow or whatever happens to be there at that time.
And this is, I'm sure it can be very annoying. I mean, I don't think there's anyone who said they really enjoy, cleaning the backyard together with the neighbors, but at the same time, it's quite difficult to get to know your neighbors here, so this is really a chance for you to talk to them, and there's often a little barbecue or something after, so take that opportunity. And
if you're interested in hearing more about this, check out my video when I was talking about styrelse and association life in Sweden. These are just 2 examples of things that you're going to come across when you start working in Sweden. There are countless more, some I would have encountered, some not. I guess it depends on your working environment. But I can highly recommend this. It's Working in Sweden, the A to Z guide, with 250 different examples of things that you might see in a Swedish workplace. And it's really everything from formal things related to contract and working to the more interesting things, like obviously we know all about how fika is very important to the office culture, but to the days of the week and much more. I could highly recommend it. I'm going to link it in the description below where you can buy it, and make sure you take a look. Thanks a lot, Sophie. I really learned a lot more than I thought I would just talking about the weeks of the year and some extras on the side. I can highly recommend her book, Associative, Working in Sweden. I'm going to link it in the description below. I read it and it really helped me understand a lot of cultural things about the workplace here in Sweden, as well as some of the formal stuff. Hope you've enjoyed this episode of Becoming Swedish. There's loads more coming in your feed soon, so don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you use Facebook, don't forget to like me on Facebook on facebook.com/Hinklister. See you there.